Hello, everybody. Today I'm doing a very special Star Wars review. It is the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens. I can't believe it's been that long, but I couldn't do it alone, so I brought on Eli Little Blue. How are you doing
Well,
tonight on Christmas
I'm
Eve?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing very fine on this Christmas Eve. Yes.
I thought with Christmas, I thought it'd be a perfect time to talk about The Force Awakens. I've always wanted to talk about all the Star Wars movies. I usually review them every Star Wars day, May the 4th. But for this will be a special occasion, like I said. So I guess we'll get started. So what's your fondest memories of The Force Awakens?
Well, for me, I of course, I remember I was there. I mean, we all were, because when Force Awakens, happened, and on account that a new batch of Star Wars films were on their way, because I mean, ever since with the Clone Wars series going on, and then at one point, um, you know Lucas in 2012 would, sign off his company and such to Disney and all that. I remember that day, and when it would be announced that a new Star Wars film would be on the way, a new trilogy, the sequel trilogy, and not to mention other Star Wars films that would be their own pieces of Star Wars material, not in the saga. And of course, when it came to the first installment in the sequel trilogy, J.J. Abrams, whom you know made a big name of himself. I mean, he made a big name of himself when it came to the shows he did, like Lost. But stepping into the director's chair of the movie business, because yeah, I mean, directing one of the Mission Impossible films, and then when it would come to say directing uh, the first two Star Trek films in the new Star Trek timeline, and not long after, he directed Into Darkness, then he would find himself being in the director's chair for the new Star Wars film. And the thing is that, fun fact, Abrams, he was at that time more of a Star Wars fan and not much of a Star Trek fan. But I mean, when he found himself working on the first Star Trek film, he grew to appreciate and love more of Star Trek and such. But for Star Wars, obviously this being a dream come true for him, and yeah, I mean, I remember when it was announced, and then even when, like, say, when Star Wars Weekends was still going on at Disney's Hollywood Studios, even like there was a special message from J.J. Abrams about not being there, and on account of him working on the film and such. Just yeah, and even when Disney acquired Lucasfilm and all the Lucasfilm properties and such, and of course, on account of Star Wars, I mean, we all remember, of course, that, sadly, Clone Wars came to an end at that time, and new Star Wars materials were on the way under Disney. We had the next Star Wars animated show, Rebels, and also on account of The Force Awakens. And and I'm just, yeah, I mean, when the trailers came out, and as the film was getting nearer and nearer to release, and it was announced that most of the original cast members, from Luke, Leia, and Han, of course, were coming back, Harrison Ford especially, to see him once again step into the iconic role of Han Solo, and Han Solo joining in on the adventure with the new characters, and the new characters that would step in, new droids and all that, the main antagonists, like, it was all really exciting, and I'm pretty sure, because we're gonna bring this up, because I mean, I'm sure you would recall, Anchorman, because there was a time when The Force Awakens was really admired. Everyone loved it when it first came out. I remember it was a big deal, but even as of now, it seems like just people bash on it now and such, because I mean, what? Because on account of the next two installments, give me a break. Because if you don't like the next two installments in the sequel trilogy, come on. Does that mean your attitude towards the Force Awakens has to change? I don't know. Because come on. Everything that The Force Awakens had to offer with its storytelling, and the fact that we hadn't seen a new Star Wars film in 10 years. Because, yeah, I mean, the fact that this film came out 10 years after the last Star Wars film, which, of course, being The Force Awakens, Revenge of the Sith. which that closed off at that time. That closed off the saga. But of course, fast forward, and who'd have thought, for everyone that a sequel trilogy was going to happen. I mean, even when George Lucas he was considering doing a sequel trilogy, but apparently later on it was revealed that his plans for the sequel trilogy would have not been so good with what was written on paper and all that. Just um, but I mean, it's hard to tell because if that would have, if Lucas's take on the sequel trilogy would have been better than the one we have, or just I don't know, because I don't know, because just judging by like what people said about what Lucas's original vision for the sequel trilogy would have been like, I don't know, because like surely the sequel trilogy we have now probably couldn't be that all bad as to what the vision that Lucas had originally. But yeah, um, and everything. Of course, when it comes to Star Wars, everything's top secret, and stuff we did not expect in the Force Awakens. Yeah, but at the same time, every second of it was worth it, and still being a really good Star Wars film, and I guess to some, and if they still feel this way, enjoying it for what it is, it's the best one in the sequel trilogy, the only apparently. I mean, obviously, I'm sure because obviously there would be those that enjoy the entire sequel trilogy from the Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker, but yeah, yep, just overall because the Force Awakens it was what it was the epic comeback for Star Wars on the big screen, and then for the next couple of years up to 2019 at that time, and until we get the Mandalorian Grogu. But just yeah, just overall, Force Awakens. It was a great comeback for Star Wars on the big screen, and so on.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you summed up pretty well the
Hmm.
impact of the Force Awakens. I, but what really felt nostalgic for me was when I saw the trailer. When I saw Finn for the first time without his helmet, I was like, "Ooh, a stormtrooper without a helmet." I mean, that's probably been done before in like the expanding universe, but to see it in live action, it was definitely exciting. And then when we saw Kylo Ren pull out that crossguard lightsaber, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yep. Yeah, and again, because
Oh,
I've just
sorry, people are talking. My
I was
bad.
just I was just about to say because I mean I of course remember because like just like what you just said and like again on account of the trailers that came out for Force Awakens it was just really exciting.
Oh, for sure. I remember even getting the Millennium Falcon Lego set from the Force Awakens and the Kylo Ren command shuttle, and I got my first Lego Kylo Ren. That was super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I even dressed as Kylo Ren for Halloween, my fifth grade year.
Right. Nice.
So, but also I'd like to acknowledge. I don't know if you remember when Abrams got the whole cast in that one photo, and we got the R2D2 in the box. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Well, I remember that photo definitely.
It was definitely nostalgic for sure.
Yeah, because that photo, because like that was like the photo of them in preparation for Star Wars and them reading the script and all that. So read through.
Yeah, pretty much everyone was there.
Which, by the way, just to mention this quickly, because if you know about this, because even Spaceballs 2, they did the same thing as well.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Spaceballs 2. It should be fun
Mm-hmm.
to see
Yeah, they
what they
basically.
can parody for Star
Oh,
Wars today.
absolutely. Yeah. And by the way, 'cause I take it you did see that teaser for Spaceballs 2 with that
Yeah, I
crawl.
did with the Mel Brooks
It's
announcing it.
that crawl is hilarious, but it also spits out pure facts.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, anyways, but you were saying about Force Awakens?
So yeah, I for me, I think I enjoyed The Force Awakens. I had an amazing time. I was like super nervous to see it because it's my first Star Wars movie. I've seen in theaters. I mean, I did see the Phantom Menace in theaters when they re-released it in the 3D version of it.
I meant to mention that. I forgot to mention that because yeah, I mean, besides like okay, because like in between like when Revenge of the Sith had came out as well as Force Awakens, because well, Star Wars being on the big screen, like when it came to the Clone Wars movie, but also for a special event at that time originally, Star Wars was going to return in theaters in 3D, and that happened with the Phantom Menace. But after Disney acquired Lucasfilm, plans for the rest of the Star Wars saga being shown in 3D that was canceled.
The Star Wars what?
The Star Wars being, I mean, yeah. Do you remember that there were plan? I mean, okay, if you remember, like, if you recall, because like when Phantom Menace came out in theaters in 3D, do you remember that they were going to show the rest of the Skywalker saga at that time, the rest of the movies in 3D?
Yeah, but I don't. I think they just did the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well that's because like they did Phantom Menace, but when they were going to do the rest of them, well, after Disney acquired Lucasfilm, the plans for the rest of the Star Wars films to be shown in theaters that was canceled entirely.
Yeah, but they are going to re-release New Hope 2027, which I'm excited for.
Yep. I even saw where, and I saw like one most prominent video on YouTube, and if you saw two, Anchorman, where they there was a screening marathon of all of the six Star Wars films leading up to Episode 7.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's on YouTube because, like, at a special screening event at a movie theater, like, and even like I think it was on the day that Force Awakens was released in theaters. Like, yeah, a movie theater held a screening marathon of all six films, and then after Episode 6 finished, then came to Episode 7.
that'd be a lot to sit through.
Yeah, I mean, even like in the video, it shows like the time hours of like when the first movie and up to the next one starts, etc.
So some people get some level of break.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, I think by Mike, if I remember correctly in that video, because I think the Phantom Menace, like the people at the theater when they saw when they went there, like Phantom Menace, like I want to say like started very early in the morning. Then when it came up to like say 6 and 7, it was sometime in the evening.
Sweet.
Yeah. But I think overall, like after like once when we end the stream and all that, I'll have to send you a link to that video.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't see that. That's
I
interesting.
think I've heard something like that, but I don't know if I've watched it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
are you ready to talk about The Force Awakens? We'll go in depth what goes on in the movie and talk about our thoughts.
Indeed, and by all means, of course. I mean, I'll help out as well. But you can, of course, since it's your stream, you can take the lead on it if you want to.
Okay, so the movie opens with the opening crawl, per usual, every Star Wars movie, and we get the what's been going on since Return of the Jedi. We apparently Luke Skywalker has gone missing for an unknown reasons. Well, we do know now, but
But
it's
at the
revealed.
time, but at the time of this of the first movie, Force Awakens, we didn't know yet.
Yeah, we didn't know, but Leia has sent the pilot Poe Dameron to Jakku to get a secret message, a secret key to find Luke Skywalker, and that's where we open, where we see like a shadow of a new designed Star Destroyer, but we get a shuttle of stormtroopers, and I don't know why, but I don't know if you noticed this, but when we do get that flash of the stormtroopers, I don't know why, but they looked kind of Lego. I don't know. I don't know if that's my mind playing tricks on me or something.
Lego.
Yeah, they kind of. I don't know if I'm just thinking of the cutscene for the Lego games for the Force Awakens, because they also did a
Yeah.
game of the Force Awakens.
Well, of course they did. Oh, I remember getting the game and I played it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it. Oh, there's Mikey. I assume he wants to join, so we'll see if he has
Mike.
to.
Well, what? It's up to you. I mean, you should we invite him in?
If he wants to join, so
Okay, but I was going to ask you this. Like, let me ask you this because which would be your favorite stormtrooper helmet design? The original, like the Days of the Empire, or with the First Order?
I do like the First Order one, but I gotta go with the OG Stormtrooper. It's iconic to look at.
Yeah, the same goes. Like as much as like the one from the First Order is really cool. Like I of course have to go with the OG. You know, the Empire days.
They even did like a new design for Rebels for the Stormtroopers. They looked clean with their helmets.
Well, I mean, they're supposed to be the exact same Stormtrooper armor, right?
Yeah,
Because
except for like if they're sand troopers, snow troopers. But we
right.
did get a new variant of a First Order Stormtrooper. We get like the Flame Trooper, which we'll see in a bit.
Yeah, which I mean, the Flame Troopers. I mean, that even existed like that existed like even during the Clone Wars when some Clone Troopers were in that position.
Yeah, like the firefighter clone troopers.
Bringing out the flamethrowers.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I love how in Star Wars the flamethrowers when the fire ignites, it sounds like a tiger's roar.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
But once the shuttle lands, we get a bunch of just random action of the stormtroopers attacking a village. But we see like our first appearance of the new droid, which is my profile pick, BB-8. So what do you guys say about BB-8?
Well, I mean BB-8 because I mean let's face it, he's really cool droid. Like they take the Star Wars droids to the next level, and even like say when they unveiled BB-8 at Star Wars Celebration, like just everybody flipping out. They were marbled by BB-8 because how he's rolling and all that, and with his head, just like it was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. But I mean, that's
Yeah.
not. I mean, they didn't actually. I don't think, if I remember correctly, they didn't achieve that. They weren't. They didn't do that. They weren't. They didn't achieve that in while they were filming Force Awakens. But later on, they did, of course. And well, obviously for certain shots of BB-8, because they really had to have them be like on green screen like cables or stuff like that, and so on. But yeah, I mean, just like BB-8, because everybody just finds him cute and adorable and all that, and with how his droid voice sounds and all. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, just at the same time, just BB-8, just I mean, that's really all best I can say. Just BB-8, just a nice fine droid.
Yeah. I like his design and his orange.
Yeah, the
Like
orange. Yeah, the orange
orange is
really pop.
iconic.
Yeah, the orange really pops and suits him.
Yeah, BB-8 does have cool advantages, Mikey. But I think once BB-8 goes in there in the tent, we meet Poe Dameron, played by the amazing Oscar Isaac, and we got Lawrence
Indeed.
Santeca. I forget who's. I know he's a legendary actor too, but the guy who played him, I think he passed away recently.
Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, he passed away just a couple of years ago. Yeah.
So yeah, what do you guys say about Poe and Lord Santeca?
Well, both good characters, and Lord Senteca, because he literally gets the first line of the film, and of course, that being, "This will begin to make things right."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, and Poe Dameron, I mean, a great actor like Oscar Isaacs. I think this was one of my earliest introductions to Oscar Isaacs, and I think that I mean that also goes for the other cast members in the Force Awakens, which we'll get to momentarily. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, like Oscar Isaacs, he's come such a long way. I mean, even of course after say being in Star Wars, and just Poe Dameron's mannerisms and his attitude, his and all his personality and such, just so great, and his relationship and bonding with BB-8 and all that is great, and
Mm-hmm. That's what I really
yeah,
like about the movie, their friendship.
exactly, yeah, and see, because like it's not just it's great to see that it's not just like from Anakin to Luke, like the friendship they have with R2, but there are others like that have a close bond with droids and all that in Star Wars. And of course, another best example is, of course, Poe and BB-8. But yeah, just overall, Poe's such a great character, and Lord Zenteca, because I mean, a great actor, Max von Sydow, to have been a part of Star Wars, and he was such a legendary actor because this guy, I mean, we know him best from like say, the Exorcist, or he even portrayed Jesus, and he of course was Ming the Conqueror, the Merciless, and all that in Flash Gordon, and amongst other great other things he's been in. But yeah, I mean, I think I even read where Max von Sydow, I mean, he wanted to be a part of Star Wars, like just for the fun of it, and even like I think I read this too,
He
where
definitely got it.
yeah, and I think I read where he jokingly said that he wanted to do it, before he dies or something. So
He got his wish.
he did get his wish.
But
Yeah,
basically,
that's true what you say. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so
that's true.
Lawrence Santeca basically tells Poe that without the Jedi, there cannot be no balance in the Force, and he gives the secret map of where Luke Skywalker is. And Poe gets it, of course, and BB-8 interrupts, and then that's where the First Order arrives. And this is where we get our introduction to Finn, played by John Boyega. So, what do you guys say about Finn?
Well, I mean, with what how with what we with Finn in this, and like what he goes through, and because with what happens on that planet, uh, yeah, Jakku, and because it just something changes in him instantly, and when a fellow trooper falls, and that's when he now has a different attitude towards the First Order, and he would redeem himself and all that, and knowing the right side to choose and such.
Mm-hmm.
And John Boyega, because yeah, this was also where I mean, I think for a lot of us, we first knew about John Boyega. But the fact, because he's British in real life, and yet he's so great at doing an American accent. Because even I remember this John Boyega, talked about it on when he and a couple of the other cast members, like him, Daisy, and Carrie, they're on Graham Norton's show and talking about Star Wars, of course, and John talking about that. He first tried doing Finn with his regular accent, but just the way he was trying to deliver his lines, just even JJ was like, John, I don't think it's working, and that's when he would do an American accent, and I think this was funny because Graham asked him like, "What if you weren't what if you couldn't been able to do an American accent?" And John was like, "Then I would have been pissed." So
Yeah. But once we do get Finn, like we see the blood on from the stormtrooper reach his helmet, and then that's where a shuttle comes down. And that's where we get the infamous Kylo Ren.
oh yes.
What do you guys say about Kylo Ren, or should I go first?
Why don't you go first, by all means? Very quickly, Mikey comments. I think Adam Driver did a decent portrayal of Kylo Ren. Decent. I mean,
I don't know
to
about that
me,
one. I'd
to
have to
me,
disagree.
yeah, because I to wait until okay, so wait until you hear what both me and Scott have to say. Well, yeah, by all means, you go first.
I really like Kylo Ren. I think he's my favorite of this trilogy. I really like his crossguard lightsaber, and he's basically trying to be like Darth Vader, but he knows he can never be like Darth Vader. But I think he was intimidating when I first saw him. I liked that voice. He even tries to have a voice changer with his mask, but he doesn't have like the machine of Darth Vader. And he basically is able to stop blaster bolts from firing, which was probably a badass scene. And yeah, he basically kidnaps Poe in this movie, and it's just, and once we see how he interrogates people, it's definitely a more different way. He's got different methods, if you know what I mean. So I think Kylo's got some intimidation factors, but also some some flaws in him. But overall, Kylo Ren was easily one of my favorite villains of the sequels, or he probably is. So yeah.
Okay, and as for me, because yeah, I mean, I could have said it better myself, but still, like, yeah, it was pretty exciting because like whom the next Sith Lord was going to be, the main antagonist and all that for the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and even when we got our first glimpse of Kylo in the teaser and his lightsaber and all that, And the fact, because the type of lightsaber he has, well, because it's a, it's a different type of weapon design. However, with the lights, with the Sith crystal being, being sizzled and all that, it's sizzling. Well, that's because that the crystal was cracked and such. Because if with it not being cracked, then yeah, obviously it has a smooth light. But with it being cracked, then yeah, because it has that sizzle effect, which is really cool. Um, and I think because Adam Driver, I technically knew him and saw him before, but I didn't really know that much of him. No, didn't know that much of him until Force Awakens came along. Because I mean, some of his like earliest stuff he was doing as an actor, because he had a small, very small part. Didn't have a big major role in Spielberg's Lincoln, and I don't remember when the HBO show Girls started, but I mean he was a part of that, of course. He
I
even did
saw
a
Marriage Story.
well, I mean yeah, that came out the same year when Rise of Skywalker came out.
Yeah.
But I also know that he was in a movie with Daniel Radcliffe. I think it was 2 years before. Yeah, 2 years before Force Awakens. But overall, yeah, this like Force Awakens is where I was properly introduced to Adam Driver, and yeah, I mean Adam Driver because he was excellent at Kylo Ren, and little did we realize until very later on in the movie that whom Kylo Ren truly was. But until we get there, but just how Kylo is intimidating, and almost throughout this movie we see him in that mask, and that voice box that's in the mask, like that's really great, and his mannerisms and his his evilness with on account of the dark side, and just yeah, just being cold blooded and all that. Just yeah, he's just brilliant. Anyways,
Pretty much.
and Mikey has a big comment here. As Ren progresses through the next two films, he redeems himself and succeeds in his conflict of being Ben Solo. Now, Snape, he was almost
No.
a cooler version of the Emperor Palpatine until its clone came. I think you mean Snoke. Yeah, I think you misspelled it.
Yeah, Snoke. But yeah. So what goes on next in the movie is Poe is taken to the giant star destroyer of the Force Order, and he's already getting tortured, and Kylo tries to get into his mind, of course, but he gives the information of a BB-8 having the information about Luke Skywalker, and now they're gonna try to find BB-8. But of course, we get more of Finn, where he decides he's gonna have a change of heart. I forgot to also mention Captain Phasma.
Yep.
Did you like Captain Phasma? For me, Captain Phasma was. I wish she was in the movies a lot more. I wish she got more development. I heard she was in a book that came out a
Yeah.
while ago, but I don't know. Captain Phasma, cool armor. I do like the actress who played her. She was really good in Wednesday recently.
Oh
But
yes.
but
Well, not to mention that she's been in a lot of other good things, even on account of her having been a part of Game of Thrones.
yeah, Game of Thrones too. But yeah, her Star Wars role, which she definitely got to be part of the franchise, and she definitely enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and for me, Captain Phasma was another pretty cool character too, and the fact because it's a stormtrooper like commander, well, leading the stormtroopers and all that, like top notch and all, and it's female, and yeah, just like Snoke was pretty cool and all that, and yeah, I mean, it would have been great if we got more of Phasma. Golly, especially like when it came to the next installment, not that much, but at the same time, like with what Last Jedi had to offer with Phasma, what was pretty cool, and on account of the confrontation between her and Finn, that was awesome. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean, okay, like yeah, because like what you point out about a comic and such, but even like say there was more of Phasma, like when it came to like say Star Wars Resistance, the animated show. Um,
yeah.
we
They
did
also
we
did
te-
an episode that takes place before The Force Awakens.
right. So technically, in Star Wars Resistance, we technically did get more of her, but still, it would have been great if
Yeah.
there was more of her like in live action. So in the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm. But I
I
think
mean,
what
here
go.
I was just gonna quickly say because I wonder if had she not died and been killed off in the Last Jedi, makes me wonder how her presence would have been if when it came to say the Rise of Skywalker. But it's hard to tell.
There's a Star Wars theory. I'm not talking about Star Wars theory, but that Jar Jar was gonna be Snoke. Thoughts? Maybe we'll save that for a little bit later, if that's okay.
Sure.
But basically, Poe gets rescued by Finn, who decides to leave the First Order, and I like how he says it's the right thing to do. But
Yep.
basically, they find their way towards a Tie Fighter, and we actually get some good Tie Fighter action where they're basically able to shoot out most of the First Order on that ship, and then they escape. And this is where we get the bonding moment between Finn and Poe. That's probably the highlight of the movie for me is their relationship. It works really well in this movie.
Yep.
But basically they're gonna go back to Jakku, and Finn doesn't want to go to Jakku. It's like the running joke that why does everyone want to go to Jakku? But basically they get shot down into Jakku, and originally they were gonna kill off Poe, but JJ loved Oscar Isaac so much that they were like, let's keep him around.
Right.
But basically they crash, and Finn gets separated from Poe, but he only finds his jacket. And this is where we get more of the city for Jakku, and we also get a new introduction to the main character of the sequels, Rey, the infamous Rey that a lot of fans love to trash on for whatever reason. But
I
what do you
don't.
guys say about Rey?
Just very quickly. I don't recall if they first trashed her when it came to Force Awakens before the next
Probably
two
like
films.
Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi. I don't know.
Maybe probably that's when it began. But
Yeah, it's
well,
just so overdone.
I know it's overdone. I'm way ahead of you, but for me personally, because yeah, say what you will, because Ray, she's not a bad character at all. Because come on, Ray was an excellent character. Daisy Ridley, which this is what really kicked her off and such. She was doing some acting before this came along, and golly, even just seeing the behind the scenes and J.J. Abrams and all that, just everybody else complimenting on Ridley's audition, just amazing. And yeah, because this is where again she'd make a big name of herself, and when it came to the Force Awakens, and just from there on, and of course Ray, having been in that same position as young Anakin and Luke and such on a deserty planet, and come to think of it, because Jakku, it's more sand. There's more sand and all that than Tatooine. I mean, because of the ground and such. But overall, because yeah, our first introduction to Ray, the beautiful music that plays Ray's theme. Of course, have to acknowledge John Williams, who of course rightfully so came back to do the score for the sequel trilogy, and the new pieces of music that John brings to life in the sequel trilogy is of course amazing. And from Ray's theme to the Resistance theme, First Order, Kylo Ren, need I go on? Just yeah, and of
Yeah,
course reprising some iconic and classic pieces of music from Star Wars that we all know and love so well. But yeah, just Ray, just overall, because with our first introduction to her and throughout this movie, the adventure she would find herself in, and she, you know, technically evolves in this movie, and with what else happens, it's just yeah, it's just amazing. And when it seemed like at first that maybe Finn was going to be the one to be with the Force, but no, because I want to say I'm sure that there were some people that speculated maybe it could be her, but yeah, but as the movie proceeds, we would find out. But yeah, just just overall, and couldn't have said it better myself, like what you had to say, Anchorman. But yeah, Ray, just despite the negativity and what people say about Ray these days, No, I don't view Ray that way, and yeah, she's a not bad character. She's a really good one. So yeah,
Yeah, it's done just to make outrage views. That's why people do it.
yeah,
Basically, Ray is a scavenger who's just kind of looking out for herself. But it all changes when she does meet BB-8, who's getting netted by some that one look small looking dude, alien dude. I forget his name. I think his name is Tito or whatever. Oh, oh, sorry for the silence, but basically Ray and BB-8 meet, and uh, we get this actual nice shot of Ray walking into the sunset with BB-8, which is iconic shot of the movie.
yeah, it is.
But basically, Ray lives in an at, and there would be a lot of lore with the from the Battle of Jakku, which got explored in like the Battlefront games.
Yeah, because apparently the Battle of Jack, like with all those imperial shuttles and walkers in Jakku, apparently because that was like that was at the end of when like the Empire was officially taken down. So
Yeah, it was their last battle in the new canon, where
yep.
they lost even a super star destroyer in the Battle of Jakku, where it landed and then it's just sitting there to rot. And Ray
Hmm.
basically just explores
Well, I
the
mean, like the
star
only
destroyer.
like well, I mean, I thought they only had like one star destroyer, and that being the one from Empire and Jedi.
That's what I thought when I saw it in the trailer.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. We'll have to go back and look. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We invite Mikey's on the thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh, hey, hi, how you guys doing? Merry Christmas, by the
Merry
way.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've already gone through, almost 25 days. It went by fast.
Yes, it
It
did.
did. It did.
Oh, way too fast. Uh, you know what? I do like Daisy Ridley. I really did enjoy her. When you first get to see her, um, you get a small inkling of what she's going to be like, throughout the whole the trilogy, the sequels and everything. She'll be definitely the main character. You already see that, right away. um when they find the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and like, I you know what, I'm so glad that they allowed her to be the better pilot to it than Harrison Ford's. Han Solo. But that moment when Han and Chewie come on board and they say we're home, I'm not kidding, guys. The entire theater went ape crap. They really did.
Oh, I mean, everybody did. Even like say when the trailer on first unveiling them came out.
Oh yeah, when she's sliding through all that. Yeah, absolutely.
Uh huh.
Oh man, yeah. That well, that and kind of, here's the thing. Um, you had an idea that she had this kind of force power. But then what was great about the trailer is not only the fact she's flying the Falcon through such ridiculous maneuvers like in the air and stuff, but it kind of reminds you of a certain Anakin Skywalker with the pod racing. I think that's what Abrams was trying to achieve, was that he was comparing Rey to having this raw power that she could do so many things, just like when Anakin got started.
Yeah.
I kind of saw the comparisons right away, and it's kind of crazy because if you look, well, let's take a look at the other two first. If you look at Phantom Menace, okay, so you see this young Anakin Skywalker, and it's got midichlorians off the scale according to Qui-Gon Jinn, and of course Obi-Wan is like, wow, okay, uh, you know, and then of course you look at early Luke Skywalker, right, from Star Wars, and you're like, really, this kid could also have those same, type of force powers that his previous dad, of course, Anakin Skywalker, we found out was Darth Vader and so on, but he had the same thing, and now you've got, you know, Daisy Ridley playing Rey, who has similar force powers. In fact, is this the one where she's in the snow and she fights Kylo Ren for the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I really, like I said, I know it's kind of, to me it seemed like it was borrowing, like it was, well, not really stealing, but just like borrowing. But I could see the comparisons right away, for the very first movies of the other previous six, and said, well, is this going to be something a bit newer, or did people just think it was going to be, a redone, but in a more modern time frame with this new First Order establishing itself?
Mm.
You
Maybe.
know, yeah,
It like they were trying to recapture the magic that is Star Wars.
Yep.
yeah, that's true. That's true. And you guys, we already talked about this. You know, the kid who came out and said, they killed Han Solo, and everybody went ape crap and almost beat this guy to death, because he'd seen it first. And I was like, well, yeah, I was devastated when I saw, Kylo take down his dad, but we only found out almost last minute that was, that was father and son. That was weird. And then of course Chewie going nuts. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, weird though. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just, it didn't. I don't know when you said, when you saw. Can you really compare it? Let's think for a moment. Can you really compare Han Solo's death to what happened to Obi-Wan eventually on board the Death Star when he got taken down? But he just allowed himself to get taken down by Darth Vader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
before that, in Phantom Menace, when you saw, uh, Qui-Gon Jinn get taken down, by Darth Maul, and you're, stabbed through and whatever, and you're like, I don't know. It's, I'm guessing that in a way, JJ was trying to get a similar impact with Han's death, but I don't know. Do you think that was effective, or do you think they could have done somebody else more uh, prominent that would have been taken down?
Yeah. I hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, um, I think honestly, most people will agree that Star Wars, and now they call it Episode 4. I think they should just kept it the way it was called in the original.
Star Wars.
Right, just Star Wars, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then again, like I said, after you had the first six, and this is number 7, so automatically you're looking at comparisons between how the prequels started and how the originals started, and then you got now you got what they call the sequels, and I don't think very many people were impressed uh, that like I said, that Abrams was trying to get the same aggressive, I would say, impact, like something that would just like go, oh my god, they just killed Han Solo, and all that stuff. Yeah, a lot of people apparently were upset about it though,
Oh
and
my goodness.
yeah,
No
I knew I
surprise.
was. I was upset. Yeah, because I mean, because like I said, when they got on board for the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and they say we're truly home, and everybody applauded, and everybody was cool. But then you get, there they are on the bridge, right, or that bridge across, and the trellis there, and that's where Kylo just says, "I'm sorry, Dad," or something like that, and then he takes him out. Yeah, weird. But
Yep.
then I remembered back to what but I remembered back to what Harrison Ford himself said. He said he didn't want to be typecast anymore as Han Solo. He wanted to move on, but he wanted to move on in a graceful way. The way they found him the first time, at Mos Eisley, and realizing what troubles he was into. And apparently his reputation had preceded him. So, it's not like the First Order didn't know of his existence, but still, I don't know. It bothered me, but then I guess a lot of other people they said, "Oh, well, it didn't seem so dramatic. It wasn't like it was supposed to be." So,
Yeah.
weird. Anyway, I'm sorry if I interrupted your guys' thoughts, but you were, moving on. But
Yeah, so you're good, but basically, where were we at the movie? But basically,
Well,
Ray and BB-8 meet,
yeah, after BB-8 and Ray, and yeah,
and
that's where
then
we're.
this is we see Finn at the find where trying to find resources on Jakku, and he even meets like a giant cow that's like drinking out of
yeah,
water, which was
right.
funny. But this is where Ray and Finn do meet after Finn is suspected of being the captor of Poe. And I always love BB-8's little like beep that he does when he's determined or something. I always like that beep.
Something like that.
Yeah, but well, once
Right.
Finn and Ray do meet, they of course get interrupted by the First Order as they have found BB-8, and it basically becomes a giant chase for the two, and they basically find their way to a ship to get out of here, and that's where we do get the iconic Millennium Falcon showing up. I mean, what do you guys got to say about the Millennium Falcon showing up? Wasn't it amazing to see it?
Oh,
Everyone
absolutely. Yeah, it
screamed
was.
like crazy for it.
Yeah, it was.
Oh
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just. I mean, for me, because like, of course, it was. Of course, I think it was obvious that we were to see the Millennium Falcon come back, of course, and the fact that it's just sitting there on Jakku, and also the fact that there's a new like piece to the Millennium Falcon because obviously because as we all know in Return of the Jedi, that antenna piece broke off and such.
Yeah,
Uh, not Lando's fault, but that was too close, and eventually it got a new antenna piece and all that satellite dish, I should say, and
yeah.
well, and the fact that Simon Pegg's character, we didn't acknowledge Simon Pegg because yeah, his appearance as that junk alien guy, like and
Unkar plot.
that's right, and yeah, that's Simon Pegg who plays that alien because he can see he sees the Millennium Falcon taking off. That's mine. But yeah, it's
It wasn't
it's
his.
it's not yours. Yeah, sorry, buddy, but it's not really yours because we know whom ship that rightfully so belongs to. So that
Mhm.
make so yeah, so them making a run for it and like yeah, that TIE fighter chase and through the uh them like flying through like the crashed Imperial ships and all that is really awesome. And of
Yes.
course, Finn like taking control of one of the blasters and such of the
Right.
Falcon is cool. And up to when they destroyed the Tie fighters and yeah they then escaped. So that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Well, that was
Mhm.
wasn't that wasn't that that fight battle scene? That was the teaser trailer, correct? And then they expanded upon it, and that's what really got me interested in Force Awakens was seeing that teaser trailer, and I said, "Oh my gosh, they brought back Star Wars again," and this is like a sequel. I called it a sequel. I said that the first time I watched it in theater, with the trailer, and I said, "Yeah, this is like a sequel." And I thought it might be a little bit better, but like I said, here again, they were just they were repeating some, uh, you know, plot lines that occurred in the original Star Wars, except uh, that this time, your so-called because we don't even acknowledge that Ray is actually a Jedi yet, right? We don't even acknowledge that till like the
No,
Last Jedi when she gets on the island with Luke, But
no, we don't acknowledge it yet. No, not
yeah, we
yet.
don't acknowledge
Mhm.
that at all. So, but you do realize that she's special. So, in that, like I said, in that way, you just look at Luke Skywalker. Of course, was nothing special. You didn't even think he had powers or or training ability or anything. But of course, Obi-Wan trained him. So I mean, I guess. But here was the thing: they waited. Like this was like showing what she could do early on, but then that, like I said, they waited until the second movie, The Last Jedi, to really expand upon that, and that's when we finally get to see, you know, uh, Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, on the island where they found him. But you guys remember? I just wanted to bring up something about the uh, the training, right? You remember when J.J. Abrams first met up with Harrison Ford? He said, "Dude, man, you're in great shape, right, for his age and whatever." But then he looked at Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and said, "Holy crap! You guys got to work. You gotta lose some of that fat. You got to work off." So that's what That's why. That's why JJ thought, for sure these two are important, but and including Han. But you gotta be in great shape, right? So what was it for like 6 months plus? They went through they did some basic training. They exercised. They had nutritionists. I mean, he literally said, if you are not in shape by the time pre-production starts, we ain't having you in this thing. So they were very close to being out of the movie entirely. But yeah, but at least I'm glad they were able to get into shape, so
Oh
to speak,
yes.
to exercise. Yeah, that was the thing I kept hearing all the time, was they were out of shape. And yeah, it's not like they were obese and blubbery people. I mean, they still had decent, but they wanted to work on the muscles and things like that, and their training. And well, it worked apparently. And got them going.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
I think what happened. We go on what next goes on in the movie.
yeah. Go ahead.
But the Falcon basically, Ray basically has to learn how the Falcon works with Finn as well, and they basically work together with BB-8 struggling to stay still in the ship. But
Yeah.
Well,
basically
right,
they
because
escape.
R2D2 could nail himself down, but literally. But yeah,
Hmm.
the way that BB-8 kept rolling, I still think he's cool because of the way the head. See, like you've got the avatar of him, and I love see the fact that his helmet size there can swivel, and then he's got the rest of the body that can swivel, and actually he can go faster to more of a degree than R2D2 could. Because remember when the two of them first met, and BB-8 was sizing up R2D2 even when they did meet up that first time. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, droids sizing up each other.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's crazy. That was crazy.
Hmm. But
Yeah,
the Falcon escapes, and
yeah.
basically Ray and Finn introduce each other to each other, basically. And eventually, when they try to work around with the Falcon, Finn basically just tells BB-8 that he's just trying to stay away from the First Order. And I always like the scene where BB-8 pulls out the thumbs up. I always like that.
I like that too. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
cool.
but this is where things get big. Where basically the Falcon gets picked up by another ship, and this is where we get the reveal of Harrison Ford back as Han Solo with Chewbacca. I mean, what do you guys say about Harrison Ford wanting to come back just so he can, spoilers, die as
Yeah,
Han Solo?
big spoilers. What do you think, Eli? Go ahead. What was your thoughts when you first saw him come back?
I mean, my thoughts if he would come back. Is that what you said?
Yeah, when you first saw them, for the very first time, like
Well,
before they got on board the Millennium Falcon, and like I said, is when everybody went crazy. But yeah,
I mean, obviously, we all knew, of course, and on account when that trailer came out, when we first got our glimpse of Harrison Ford as Han and Chewbacca and such, and well, not to mention that Peter Mayhew, he did come back once more to play Chewbacca in Force Awakens. for I mean, mostly for a good chunk of close-up shots. I think there were some shots where like maybe he was walking some, but yeah, obviously because he using a cane by that point still. But
Still,
yeah, but also like yeah, because I mean it was just such a great thing, to see Harrison Ford reprise the iconic role right next to his other iconic role, Indiana Jones. I mean, you know, late last decade and in 2008 because we saw him come back as Indiana Jones and fast forward in the early slash mid 2010s when he would come back as Han Solo and it was such a joy to see him come back and definitely like very early like legacy stuff like legacy sequels and all that. I mean because like seeing some old familiar faces come back to those iconic roles
right,
and you know and, and it's great to see because like obviously at some point Harrison Ford had to change a heart for the franchise and and just how obviously how much it meant for him to come back to the world of Star Wars and working with great talents and all that, and just yeah, and just Han Solo just never losing his touch and being the same Han Solo, but at the same time, obviously Han Solo. Well, of course he, as the original trilogy went and proceeded, like the character evolved and such, and
right,
still being the Han Solo, but at the same time, like having heart and caring about his friends and all that, and of course Leia and what it means to save the galaxy and such, but also on account that little do we know at first that there's more to Han Solo up to the events of the sequel trilogy than we first realize. But
right.
we're
I
obviously going
like
to get
how it
there.
gives us a changed Han Solo, a mature Han Solo.
Yep.
Yeah. How did they? I'm trying to remember in the movie. How did they uh, find out that Leia and Han actually did have Ben? Like they had a son.
I'm not sure. It's like a. Are you asking how they found out
Well,
the
how they?
characters?
Yeah. How they found out that Kylo Ren was actually Han and Leia's son, Ben Solo.
I think the two just knew because they knew Ben fell to the dark side.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But
Well, and you know what? That wasn't. And to be fair, I don't think that was all. I mean, it was partly. Well, okay. Luke Skywalker had his so-called academy, right? On
Yeah.
Yavin. Like, they had that incident, and
Well,
that's
even well, I
where.
mean, Luke. I mean, here's the thing. Even Luke, even of course, even Luke knew that his nephew had slowly but surely fallen into the dark side.
Right. Yeah, he figured that out, and that's. And well, you know what? And that's probably one of the main reasons he went into hiding in the first place, because he realized he failed. Right? He
Ex,
failed.
ex, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he failed the training of Ben, and yeah, I mean, I did pick up on that right away. I realized there had to been some major failure on Luke's part that would tell him, "Hey, I feel like the Jedi are no more." Well, he tells Ray that later on, but I mean, but he realizes he says, "I don't, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. The Jedi have no place in this universe now, and with the first order coming about and everything." But of course, we find out later, But anyway, uh, yeah, it was like I said, for the actor from Mark Hamill to get into good shape, but then you don't see him, until like spoiler alert, till like towards the end of 7, and then you go into 8, and that's where you see him on the island and everything, fully and with the lightsaber. But I mean, yeah, it kind of bummed me out. I mean, it was just if you're gonna get in shape for this major film, until the point you realize, okay, wait, yeah, it's going to be, 2 more films after this. So, I mean, but I wish they could have shown Luke more. I think that's why a lot of people hated on this, because they were hoping to see the old regulars, they were hoping to see the veterans come. And I think you
Like
only
in other words, like have all three of them be on screen together.
yeah, correct. Like being in the Falcon together, all three of them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I don't know if you've both seen this. There have been like fan edits of inserting the three of them, including Chewbacca and Billy D. Williams as Lando, in the cockpit of the Falcon.
Yeah, I've seen some of the fan film edits of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which would have been nice, but I guess but I don't know what was the atmosphere at the time. What was Abrams just thinking? Well, we got these new characters. Well, you saw it where I said it earlier there in the chat. I said if you look at it, you got Daisy and John and basically oh yeah, and Oscar Isaacs. Those are basically the three. That's them. Like that's if you look at those three characters that started this trilogies, these sequel. You look back and you say, "Oh, there they are." That's Mark and Harrison and Carrie. It's basically it. Except the roles in this case, like kind of reversed, but maybe not really, because then you find out that you know, even Poe's got some kind of maybe not force, but he's got like the flying capabilities of Han Solo and the daring and the the what do they call it? The impulsiveness, right? And then you've got then you have Luke, who's kind of like would have been Ray in like male form, basically, and and then Oscar's like Finn, or I mean, I'm sorry, Oscar's like kind of like Leia in a way. Well, it's really weird. Like I said, the three characters from each that started, the original and the sequels, uh, are similar in a lot of ways to each other, but still it's like I said, it's like a next gen of wars. It's like, okay, here was all your original cast and characters, quoting Star Trek for a moment, but then you got your next gen people that are supposed to stand in for them, like their attitude and everything they used to do. And so that's basically what this film was trying to achieve, because remember, Abrams also tried to redo Star Trek, and well, you saw what happened with that. So
yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, well, if I fail one time, why not try another time with another franchise? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. But it's not all. But it's not all his fault. I'm just saying. Abrams.
Yeah.
Abrams had a vision, right? He had an idea, but then it ultimately comes back to the writers, right? And the writers failed him. I mean, he tried, but I mean, like everybody else was like, well, let's write it this way. And it just seemed like it was all the same thing. Like I said, just advanced into another age. Because the Imperial Order or the First Order was making the same mistakes that the Imperial Order made, that the Imperial, did. The Imperials did. So, yeah, kind of weird. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ramble on there for a minute. But
I mean, we've all been there. Who hasn't? So
oh, sure.
yeah.
Uh,
All right, Scott, proceed.
No, Scott.
like Han Solo basically gets his Falcon back, and he's actually enjoying it until we get the gang scene and the Raptor, the giant blob things, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
We see Kanja Club, which is from the Red Dead Redemption. I forget what it's called. But we get those actors. They get a cameo. They're
Come
from
again?
some other movie.
Yeah.
But
What,
I
what
like
do you
Kanja Club.
wait? What were you asking again? Because like cameo, what now?
It was from the dudes who played the Kanja Club gang. I'm pretty sure they're from something else.
That I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, but I don't
Were
know.
they
I did
from?
like a
Were they
stop
from the
motion with Kanja
books?
Club.
Yeah. Were
Where
they, Scott? Were they from the books like later on, like
I have no
after
idea.
the novels?
No, I have no idea.
Huh?
Huh.
Because I seem to recall there was a um it was like a pirate group that sort of formed like they had Mara Jade come from it. You had Talon Card. So I'm thinking that where they were on this ship with all these different criminals and stuff, I'm thinking maybe that was their rendition of Talon Card's group, his smugglers and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, it's an interesting theory, but then if you think about it and you go like, well, after supposedly the Imperials were done and finished, but of course they weren't. And then you had Thrawn's group after that, and then later on, you still had the first order. Then reappears out of nowhere basically, and and I thought just maybe that was progression, that they were moving on to another set of a brand new set of smugglers, and that's how well, obviously that's how Han and Chewie got mixed up with them, because of course
Hey,
they're the
Eli,
ultimate smugglers, right? So yeah.
hey, Eli, I gotta grab a package outside real quick. You can proceed.
Where we okay quickly? Where are we at right now?
We're at the Kanja Club, and
Yeah, the
those
country
red
club.
light
Yeah, don't
bulb
worry.
dudes.
I got it from here. I know. Of course, I've got this. Okay. So with the Country Club showing up and such, and because well, then of course they would notice, the BB unit, and First Order's looking for it, and two fugitives,
Right.
and that's when like things start to get a bit out of hand, and when like those creatures that Han was keeping, and luckily, and because Ray and Finn, they unleashed them, and of course all hell breaks loose, and
Yeah.
Chewie and Han and BB-8 making a run for it, and Finn and Ray, because they're trying to avoid them, but even like say Finn, he gets caught by one of them, and luckily, because Ray quickly like noticing the security cameras and each buttons like to close the doors, which closing one door, which chops off one of the creature's tentacles, and then of course, like when avoiding Country Club and all that, at one point Chewie gets wounded, and Han like using Chewie's weapon, and actually Han then grows a liking to Chewie's rifle and all that, but
Yeah.
luckily they all escape, and they hop on the Millennium Falcon, and they make a run for it, and that one Scotsman, like, because like inform the First Order that Han Solo has the BB unit, and it's on board the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
And of course, word of this would be sent back to the First Order, and this is
Right.
where we would be introduced. Well, by the way, because we didn't acknowledge him yet, I don't think. No, because General Hux. Oh yeah, General Hux was an interesting character. We of course have to have that kind of first officer, imperial first officer, and all that, and like say, and from the Empire and all that, and because in the case of General Hux, because
Yeah. Do you
yeah, I mean,
remember the actors, Eli? Do you remember Ben's last name? I know his first name was Ben, but they played General Hux. But I was trying to remember the last name.
well, I was literally what the actor's name who plays General
Yeah,
Hux?
the actor's name that plays him. Yeah,
It's not Ben.
his first name's not Ben.
His name is Don Hall Gleason.
Oh, Don Hall Gleason. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I know him, but I mean, I think for a lot of us, besides Star Wars, we also knew him. I mean, he's a great actor, and he's been in so many other great stuff. But
Yeah.
also, he'd be best known for being in the last two Harry Potter films as one of the Weasley brothers.
Oh,
Um,
yes, that's true. Don Hall Gleason. Okay.
yes, and not to mention that his dad is a really good actor too, and that being Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson. That's
And
true.
Brendan, both father and son being a part of Harry Potter, and Brendan Gleeson, he was Mad Eye Moody.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
hey, IMDb. I don't mean to interrupt to change the subject for a minute, but
right.
IMDb has the new Avengers Doomsday trailer.
Yep, we know that.
Oh, nice. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll watch that later.
Yeah, you'll have to, but back on point, because like I mean
Yeah,
Hux was such a really great character, especially when it comes to his and Kylo Ren's chemistry, it's like
Yeah.
it's like they're brothers, like fighting one another, and like they have to please their father, which being say Imperial Supreme Leader Snoke, and yeah, because
Right.
we would then be introduced to Supreme Leader Snoke, whom is massive, but it turns out to be a giant, uh, high tech hologram and such. But at the same time, like Snoke is still intimidating, and of course, with Snoke being played by the great, talented, good old Andy Serkis.
Andy Circus, yes.
Oh yes,
That. Guys, I'll be right back. Give me a minute, okay?
no problem.
Give me a minute.
I think I'm the only one. Yeah, now I'm the only one that's here, but I'll continue on. But yeah, just to as I said, like General Hux, like he was a great character as well, evil and all that. But until like say when the Rise of Skywalker would happen, well, that's another story. But yeah, Snoke as well, because supposedly like people back then, like when the Force Awakens first came out, people speculated that maybe this could be Darth Plagueis, but that turned out to be not the case. So, not to mention, my dad learned about this, and he informed me around the time when Force Awakens came out and all that the guy who wrote for the character of Snoke, he didn't know about Plagueis at that time. So that's another thing. But yeah, so like supposedly like Plagueis to be the next like big top, evil
I'm
Sith
back.
and all that after Emperor Palpatine. But little did we know, and when it would come to Last Jedi, then to Rise of Skywalker, like what say on the character of Snoke. But yeah, but so information being informed by the First Order on account of Hux, Kylo, and Snoke, and of course, Snoke, saying there has been an awakening. Have you felt it? And it would be mentioned by Snoke to what he says to Kylo about the droid that has the missing piece to the map of Skywalker. That it's in the hands of your father, Han Solo. And that's when it's revealed that Kylo is the son of Han and Leia. So, but yeah, it's just amazing. But all right, but since you're back, Anchorman, like, do you want to take it from here now?
Yeah, so we're on Snoke, I assume.
Yeah, I was talking about Snoke. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Snoke was all right for me. I thought he looked super interesting.
yeah.
People thought he was Jar Jar, but nah, I don't think he was Jar Jar.
Well, but I also
Well,
mentioned
that,
this. I also mentioned this that some people thought that maybe he could be, and at that time could have been Plagueis.
Yeah,
right.
we did see Plagueis in that recent show, The Acolyte. Spoilers.
Yeah, a little glimpse of him. That is.
Yeah.
Right. So there could have been some. Well, I'd like to think the theory has some merit, like that Jar Jar would have eventually evolved into Snoke, but through different facets. But but then again, I mean, until we read the books, and I think they might have borrowed from that, obviously, because well, down the line we find out the Emperor's alive, but we'll get to that later. But anyway, but Snoke being the replacement, I thought he was pretty cool. But of course, I think the more devious of the two would have been Emperor Palpatine. Obviously, I liked him better because he deceived people for so long, and we only get a current introduction to Snoke here, Snoke here, until later, but till Last Jedi. But yeah, I don't know, man. It just seemed different, and kind of, I don't know, dull in a way. Maybe I'm not sure. I would have thought.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think Snoke's introduction should have been more prominent. I think he should have like shown himself more. But
It could have, yeah.
it could have been enhanced. I definitely think that if he had done more, it could have enhanced the movie itself. You want to hear something interesting? This The Force Awakens got nominated for 5 Oscars the
Yeah.
following year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course
I
it
think
did.
it was still decent. I still think it was good.
Yeah.
Um, And you gotta like the role that Maz Kanata played by Lupita Nyong'o. I think she did a great job on that. I think she did good. Yeah. So So Circus, doing the motion capture, Supreme Leader Snoke. There's Dom Hall Gleason here, right? Max von Sydow. Captain Phasma was Gwendolyn Christie. I've seen her in period pieces, like Victorian period pieces and stuff. So she was great. She was great as Plasma. I'm not sure who this other band guy was. Okay, maybe that's the next movie. But anyway, let's see. Who else do I recognize? Well, I'm glad that Anthony Daniels still came back as C-3PO, so that was nice.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right.
And the other Chewbacca double I wanted to mention to you guys was Jonas Suetamo. That was the double. So when Mayhew couldn't do it, Jonas Suetamo, he's a wrestler and things like that. He was able to do some of the other action sequences that that Mayhew couldn't do, because he had his cane and older guy and whatever. But yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, definitely.
I think we're at the Takodana stuff, I assume.
Yeah, Maz and all that.
Yeah, Maz Kanata. We're at
I
that.
did like the cantina, and I love Maz's introduction where she refers to Chewbacca as her boyfriend.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, basically, we get this large cantina where probably my favorite of the background characters was the giant orange strong looking dude who was sitting in the back.
Yeah, with like tusks or whatever the heck on his chin. So
was that
there's
Tito?
so much to look at in the background for the Star
was
Wars
that
lore.
was that Tito? Who was the big guy?
No.
Oh,
I don't know.
Who was Tito?
He was the guy with who tried to capture BB-8 at Jakku.
Yeah.
Karen Shaw. Okay. Yeah, weird.
I think what happens next in the movie is where Rey hears a calling where she goes down to that secret basement, and that's where we see the Skywalker lightsaber.
Right.
Yep.
And then that scene startled me as a kid, where we get we hear Darth Vader's voice, which I thought was awesome.
Mm-hmm. But also right before that, because Maz she's not one with the Force, but man, she's very intelligent. She's very wise and all that. And man, does she get to Finn, and just could see it in Finn's eyes, how afraid he is of the Force Order and all that. And she would point out to Finn on, two guys that are going to be, leaving the planet, and they'd be perfect for him, for transport and such. And well, that's when Finn would reveal to Rey that he's not really from the Resistance; he's from the First Order, and he chose to betray and leave the First Order and all that. But Finn, he just can't see himself continue on. And then Rey, of course, would hear a voice calling out, and BB-8 would follow her, and yeah, that's when we would lead into where Rey discovers Luke's lightsaber, but it was his father's before him, and all those visions that she sees from Luke and R2, the Knights of Ren, and her as a little girl when her parents left her on Jakku, and so on, and even hearing a little bit of Obi-Wan's voice, and because they literally had the late Sir Alec Guinness say the word Rey. They just, because basically what they did was the line that Alec Guinness as Ben Kenobi says in A New Hope, when he first sees R2 and come here, my little friend, don't be afraid. They literally took the word afraid and they kind of took it apart and just made it sound like Rey. But then, right after those visions are done, you can hear a whisper, these are the first steps. That was actually Ewan McGregor who recorded that line as young Obi-Wan. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right away with those big glasses,
Glass. I mean, they're goggles, anyways.
goggles. Yeah, well, yeah, oversized. Okay, to me they looked like oversized glasses until I figured out they were goggles actually. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
but here again, here again, I make comparisons. Uh, the first time we meet, uh, the first time we meet Yoda, but of course not until excuse me, until the second one. I mean, in this case, Max or Maz, sorry, Maz, I call her Max. I don't know why that I did that. Maz Kanata is in a way like Yoda. She is like almost like Yoda,
Yeah. Even
which
though,
is
and
kind of
even
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
even though, and like I said, even though she's not one with the Force,
right.
she knows the ways of the Force and all that. So
She does, and she even knew where to find Luke's lost lightsaber. So yeah,
yep.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, because she somehow managed to find Luke's father's lightsaber. Because after it was lost in Empire when Vader chopped off his hand and all that, but just
right.
somehow and even though it was never explained, Maz, she has her ways. She managed to retrieve it.
Procure it. Yeah, and I thought it was appropriate that she said that this saber should belong to you. That if Luke is alive, and she kind of knows he is, but like won't say anything. Naz knows this, but she knows also that this lightsaber should go to Rey. That Rey's got, she senses, even though she can't like really determine. Like, of course, Yoda would know right away. Like, boom, it's a Sith or that's a Jedi. He would know like that. But like Maz has that intuition, which is so cool.
Yep.
And then gives the saber to her. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
All right, but let's come
I
back
like
to you,
that part.
Anchorman, because what say you now?
Go ahead, there, Scott. Oh, he might not be back yet.
He might
He
be
might.
AFK.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's still muted. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me just in case go ahead and continue because
Yeah.
Ray, because I mean, like Maz, like just explaining to Ray that whomever she was waiting for at Jakku, because they're never coming back, and well, then then Maz would. Oh, you're back, Scott, but just in case I was helping out, of course, and just proceeding on. But I can still do it if you want me to. I'll take that as a yes. But anyways, so Maz, again, as I said, explaining to Ray that they're not coming back. That whom she's waiting for on Jakku, and then realizing that the lightsaber it had called to Ray, but Ray, she wants no part of it. She then runs away. First Finn, now Ray. However, then it would lead to where the First Order, this just unbelievable, just like speech that Hux gives, like shouting, and it's outside of this planet, like this snowy planet and all that, which turns out that they literally built a weapon on this planet that's so big. If you're out in space in orbit of this planet, you're seeing the giant weapon and all that. And after Hux's speech, fire, and it fires, and golly, because it's more powerful than the last two Death Stars, where literally this can destroy a good chunk of planets. And the view from where Kylo is on the First Order ship, and then seeing one of the planets like it's hitting straight for them, and those on the planet where Han and the others are, them viewing this, and just
Right.
yeah, it's unbelievable. But then,
Yeah.
of course, then it would lead to where the First Order would, yeah, because obviously they were informed and received word where the droid was with the map to Skywalker, and thus, that's when they would arrive. Disaster would strike. Maz's place would be destroyed, and even when, say, Maz would give Finn, Han, and Chewie Luke's lightsaber, and yeah, a battle would start where the stormtroopers come in, Han and Chewie stepping in, and even Han once again like wanting to, use Chewie's weapon. I like this. And as for
Mm.
Finn, well, he needs a weapon, and Maz telling him that you have one, and that of course being Luke's lightsaber. So lightsaber, the blue lightsaber ignites, and yep, using it and fighting, a couple of the stormtroopers and such. But even in the end, because like when Kylo Ren, he goes searching for Rey, because Kylo Ren was when Kylo Ren earlier was informed about the escape of the BB unit and all that, and being on board the Millennium Falcon, because then mentioning about a girl, and yeah, because
Right.
Kylo would actually bring in Rey and such, and yeah,
Yeah, he
unfortunately,
captures her.
yeah, they escape. They retreat, and they take Ray. He takes Ray with him, and even like say when Poe and some reinforcements from the Resistance they step in to help those, and yeah, ultimately yeah, the First Order escapes, the Resistance arrives, and that's when we are finally and we are now reintroduced to Leia after all these years, and once again Carrie Fisher and even of course C-3PO being there, and C-3PO in this film for a while he's got a red arm because I guess presumably because his other arm is like being repaired or something, but
I know why.
that is
There was a comic that came out years ago that explained how 3PO got it.
okay, but actually because at the end of the film he does get his regular arm back, so
Yeah. But basically, 3PO got his arm chopped off in a comic, and then a droid. He
But
teamed
you
up
were,
with a group of droids, and then that droid sacrificed himself. And
yeah.
in the honor of his memory, C-3PO wore the red arm.
right.
Now you were talking about a weapon that the First Order had developed that came out of the mountain, right?
Yeah,
It was sort of like an ice mountain, right? And then it comes out, and then
it's the planet Ilum.
right. Well,
You see more of that in like the Fallen Order games, where they
right.
explain how the Empire took over it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to explain that the last time you saw something similar to a weapon like that, you have to go back like 40 some odd years to Battlestar Galactica, where you had that episode where the Cylons had a weapon like similar to that came out of their ice mountain on that planet, and that the you know Galactica was supposed to go find the weapon and destroy it, and that's that was like when I saw that weapon for the first time. That kind of reminded me of that. That was my own personal experience, but I thought there is obviously at work here some writers who are trying to pool resources from previous science fiction franchises to explain like this new order, this first order, and how things are created. This kind of weapon they created and everything else. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, now is this like a episode of Battlestar Galactica Reborn or some other thing? That was just my thought at the first time I'd seen that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, having a weapon like that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, different for sure.
All right, but all right, but Scott, but you can proceed on here if you
Yeah,
want
go
to.
ahead, Scott.
I enjoyed seeing Carrie Fisher's return. It, it brushed my eyes.
Oh yeah,
Nope.
same here.
Yeah, I was. Oh, it's too hot. It almost made my
But
tongue.
the character I do like the reunion with Han and Leia. That was really nice.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
But don't they go to the Resistance base on Decor?
Uh huh. And also, and for me, because like very quickly, because yeah, I mean, just to see Carrie Fisher come back as Leia was such a joy, and because apparently, like because apparently it seems as though for a while Han and Leia had a fallout, but up to
Right.
here, because that's when things would be patched up between them and such, and also on account that yeah, now that Han's back with Leia, and on account of the Resistance, Yeah, now it means business where hopefully, maybe possibly they can try and like bring their son back and such. Um, and yeah, because the resistance, planning to try to find a way to get into the base of Star Killer base and such, and
Right.
even like say Admiral Akbar, because Admiral Akbar comes back, and not to mention like yeah, the original puppeteer performer is Tim Russ, but also the original voice actor, because and this would be the last time that the original voice actor of Akbar would voice Akbar once more.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed away and never got a chance to come back once more as Akbar. I mean, I don't know because whether it's up for debate because if Akbar's you know death in Last Jedi. I mean, the way I view it is, look, I mean, I guess it just wouldn't feel right. Like if we just didn't have like the original voice of Akbar returning for to voice him because on account that he passed away. I mean, I view that, but I mean, I don't know, but that's just how that's what I'm saying. But
Right.
anyways, but yeah, their plans to break into Star Killer base, and well, it'll be up to Finn, Han, and Chewie to do so, and maybe hopefully, like, again, by bringing back his and Leia's son. And by the way, because their son's actual name being Ben Solo, and
Right. Right.
but then, of course, like yeah, they would make their way to the Star Killer base, and well, Finn's saying that he knows quite a lot about how to get into Star Killer base, but then like when Finn mentions about sanitation and all that, just yeah, Han is not
Yeah,
pleased,
he
and
gets that original Star Wars incident where they ended up in the garbage chute.
well, not exactly, because when they at one point they take Phasma hostage.
Right.
They have her like shut down some stuff, and like Han asks, and to get rid of Phasma, is there a garbage chute? And Finn assuring Han that there is. So
Yeah.
and coming back to Ray, because yeah, like Ray was being interrogated by Kylo, and Kylo trying to know what Ray knows about the location of Skywalker and such. And even when yeah, finally, after quite a while, we finally see Kylo out of that mask, and Kylo, he's struggling. He's struggling trying to get some information from Ray. And even when Ray
Yeah.
would then say to Kylo, you will never be strong as Darth Vader. Just yeah. Also, we cannot forget to mention this because there was a scene very early on where Kylo supposedly is speaking to the ghost, the spirit of his late grandfather with the burned mask of Vader and all that. But
Yeah.
boy, because yeah, Kylo, little did he realize that, surely, because like, yeah, imagine if Skywalker did step in as the Force Ghost and confronting his grandson. Just I tell you, like,
Yeah.
look, buddy, you're on the wrong side. So, um,
Absolutely.
We gotta
Yes.
talk about the Kylo Ren no mask scene.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
he was. I think he was mentioning.
that
Yeah,
scene was infamous for me.
you go first, Scott, by all means.
Okay,
Go ahead,
that
Scott.
scene was infamous for me.
Why was it infamous?
I didn't expect it to happen because usually we see in the story it's Vader. We see what Vader looks like about the mask until Return of the Jedi.
I mean, were you expecting Kylo to also be like Vader with a burned face and such?
I don't know. I just thought they'd keep his face like a mystery. That's what I thought they were gonna do, but then I realized, oh, he's just a regular. He just has a regular face.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he didn't have his mask on when they fought in the snow, right? With him and
Nope. If you
yeah,
play Disney
No, he
Infinity, you fight him with his mask on.
yeah, he
right.
always like in the Star Wars games, he usually would always have his mask on.
They
Okay.
wanted to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
apparently so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to quickly mention about Carrie Fisher myself. Like I said, after I read what she had to go through to to get into fighting shape, so to speak, yeah, I was impressed. I thought that Carrie did a great job of remaking herself, and obviously she's told, in confidence, she told Han after finally running back into him they said we need to find Ben. And I think, obviously we know that, Luke and Leia being brother and sister are obviously well attuned into the Force. And it's actually Leia who says to, her husband Han, that says, hey, Ben's in conflict. We got to find him. So, that's like the first time you hear, well, wait, somebody else now is in conflict? Because Darth Vader was in conflict, for all three films, especially after he met Luke in the first one and, in the fighting sequences and then later on in the Cloud City. So, that's kind of weird, that Leia already knows this. But then, like you said, you just look at it and go, oh, yeah, well, she's a Jedi. So, yeah, she's the last of the Jedi, basically. Yeah. So, weird.
Yep.
But I mean, still, they had to make subtle changes, right? You couldn't just have a carbon copy of Star Wars, as I said before, of Episode 4. You had to make a few subtle changes. Otherwise, it would have looked like it would have been a carbon copy or like a mirror of the other one, which was so successful. And I don't know if that was on purpose or if that was done by accident. But like I said, it's not all Abrams' fault. But then again, since he was the director of all three, people give him so much flack and so much, hatred and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I look at it now. Like I watch, like periodically, I rewatch like some of them, and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not all Abrams' fault. No, definitely isn't. Like you really shouldn't rag on him. He had good intentions. Let's just say that he had good intentions when he tried it with Star Trek. He had good intentions when he tried it with Star Wars, but fortunately, I would say the underlings under him failed. So that's in both cases. In both cases, yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
All right, but Eric, but you can continue on if you want to now, Anchorman.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Ray is basically able to escape the stormtrooper after learning how to do the Force mind trick.
Which, by the way, that stormtrooper just so happened to be James Bond himself, Daniel Craig.
Yeah, he made a cameo in this movie.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you know how he got the role? And I did tell you guys he's related to my wife, whose maiden name was Suzanne Craig. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I've got a family relation that was in Star Wars too. Not only playing James Bond, but also being in Star Wars, which I think is cool. Well, the way he had it was through his through some contacts, including I believe it was Lucas himself, right? And of course, Daniel Craig knew Spielberg through the work he did. That was that one World War II story he did with Lee Schreiber, I believe it was. So through that, he was able to, and then of course he always wanted to be in Star Wars, even before he wanted to become become James Bond. And through many sources, they said, "Yeah, we can get you in there." And he says, "Hey, I got an idea." He says, the numbers that are on there? Why don't I use my James Bond 007 number?" So if you look really closely and you see on his stormtrooper helmet, it says JB007.
Right.
Which is, I laughed, man. I saw that and I was like, whoa. I was happy, man. I was happy he was in there, and how through the force push he was able to be manipulated so easily by Ray, and Ray says, "And you'll leave the weapon behind," and I'll leave the weapon behind. Excuse me, and he walks out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think that's a great cameo role for him. I really do. And then actually, it's probably, and I think it's one of the redeeming moments of the film. Like, there are some others, but, that's one of the redeeming is like, I'm really happy he got involved, Yeah, definitely. And I was going to also quickly mention the lady, like I said, Gwendolyn Christie, who plays Phasma. She was in Game of Thrones. And not only that,
well, we did talk about that earlier.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. And then the Mockingjay, right? Part 2. So yeah. So that's cool, man. Yeah.
All right. All right, but go ahead. All right, but go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Scott.
Probably my favorite scene in this whole movie is where Kylo Ren has an outburst, and then the
Yeah.
stormtroopers are coming by, and then they just turn around because they don't want to get involved.
Nope.
But I think basically all the characters reunite, but they gotta plant explosives near the main bridge area,
Right.
and this is where we get probably the most uh, powerful scene in the whole movie for me was Han does witness Kylo when he comes in,
Yeah.
when he's walking across the bridge, and then Han decides to reach out to his son one last time to make the promise to Leia.
Yep.
And of course, that's where
He yells "Ben."
everybody, yeah, and that's what people didn't want to see until they saw it, and where that 19-year-old from San Bernardino almost got his life taken away from him because he got stupid and revealed that to everybody who had been waiting hours and hours to see this thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
But if you notice, Han basically touches his son's face once he takes off the mask. Well, no, my bad. That's not till later. But
No.
that's later.
he
Yeah,
takes off the mask, saying, "What do you think I'll see if I do?" And he basically reveals his face to his son.
The son of the face of my son.
Yeah, and we get one side that's blue, one side that's red, and Kylo's basically given the choice. He can either get rid of the lightsaber, or
I mean,
yeah, he
because
can
I mean,
indeed.
at that part, I mean, at that part, that's where a bit of Ben Solo comes back. You know.
right.
Hmm.
That's where his mother Leia said he's in conflict. Or excuse me, he's in conflict. Han, our son is in pain. You need to go to him.
Yeah.
That you have that moment where he is caught between himself being Ben and himself being Kylo Ren, the Dark Sith. So yeah, I thought that was pretty prominent. I thought that was a very vital moment. Of course, the choice he made. Well, we all know what happened, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, crazy.
Yep.
The whole thing's just crazy. You look at it, you still like. I've rewatched it a few times since then, and I'm like, yeah, it's just crazy enough. Like it works, but then of course, then when you got the terrible writing later on in the last two films, and you're like, now where's this going? You know, it had such promise. It did. Force Awakens to me was probably one of the last best, not the best, but obviously one of the last few best, maybe I would say like the first after the first six. A lot of people didn't think that way, but you know,
Yeah.
I looked at others. Yeah, I looked at other aspects of it, which led me to believe I can't disdain this film. You know, I can't just trash it like everybody else was doing. You know, I can't do that because I think
Me
of
neither.
myself as
No.
right because I think of myself as a true sci-fi purist, and this film does have some good moments. I mean, it's not a terrible film. Okay, it's not great, but I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, and we saw, you know, like I said, when you saw the teaser trailer for the first time, what Ray was doing with the Falcon, you said, "Oh my God, it's the Millennium Falcon!" And she's flying around doing all this, and then of course she takes over the pilot seat from Han. I'm like, wait, Han's supposed to fly this thing, but the woman is. I'm like, okay, what? Where'd that come from? How did she get a chance to fly it? And he can't, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. But go ahead, Scott. Where are we at now as far as after the slicing through of Han and him falling off the bridge?
That scene was dark for me. It was like, oh no, Han Solo. I just knew it was coming.
Right, because it was just sad.
It
Yeah.
was. We were all anticipating it, and then yeah, Han unfortunately goes, and even Leia feels it for the Force.
I
Oh
had
yes.
yeah. Didn't you have that feeling? I want to ask you, Eli, didn't you have that feeling like when you saw Hans or when you saw Indiana Jones for the last time in Dial of Destiny that we talked about? and you see him for the very last time. That's pretty much it. He's not going to come back, again as Indiana Jones. So you felt some of that pain, right? You felt you were. I know I had tears in my eyes when that happened. Same thing for like at the end of No Time to Die, when James Bond Daniel Craig commits suicide, he doesn't do that. Bond never does that, and that just made me bawl, man. That just made me upset, really upset. And I even had tears in my eyes. Suzanne could even tell you, like we were just
Uh-huh.
crying, you know.
Yeah.
So that moment when I saw Han Solo go down, and I was like, whoa, yeah. So this is pretty powerful, and I can understand why so many fans just went ape crap and went after this guy because that's a major plot development. That changes the game, for the rest of the trilogy, right? So yeah, I mean, wow, yeah, crazy,
Yeah.
very dark. I agree with
I,
you there, Scott.
I, I mean, it's like okay. I mean, because you were asking me this, because I mean, yeah. I mean, I can understand and tell because how how it feels, and the fact that well, I mean, from the sequel trilogy and to Dial of Destiny, that would because that be the each of those would be the last time that Harrison Ford would play his two iconic roles, and yeah, but because sometimes all good things must come to an end, and yeah, but just with it was worth it, I think, and just with until and even for me, because to live and see that Harrison Ford once again coming back to those roles. In fact, because of course my parents and my dad especially having grown up and having seen those films that Harrison Ford was
Right,
in from the original Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and the fact that when I was born, and then when that happened from the next two Indiana Jones films, Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny, and the sequel trilogy, just to see Harrison Ford on screen as each of those two iconic roles, that was something. It definitely was for anybody. So
right, definitely. Oh, and of course, we all, the other devastating part of that, of course, was the fact that we get to see, you know, Carrie Fisher come back, right, as Leia, and we're all happy about that.
uh huh,
But then, of course, we didn't really realize she had those physical problems, and what
yeah.
have you, and it wasn't until the Last Jedi, of course,
Well, yeah. I
that
mean, like
we didn't realize that was going to
before.
be her last
Well,
role, right? So we had
yeah.
no
Well,
idea.
that was before. Before. Let me see, because well, here's the thing, because yeah, I mean, a year before the Last Jedi came out, because yeah, sadly, around like December of 2016, we sadly lost Carrie Fisher. Then one day after she passed away, then we
Okay,
lost Debbie. Then we lost her mother, Debbie Reynolds, and
right at the same time. Yeah.
yeah, and actually, even like say a week or so before Carrie's passing, we had gotten Rogue One, which had younger Leia and all that, but
Well, which was like they showed the back of her, right? They didn't show the front.
well, they showed the back and the front, yeah,
They
because
did? Oh, okay. Oh, wait, yeah, but they use CGI and
yeah,
like
motion capture and all
motion
that. So
capture. That's true. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
using the likeness of young Carrie Fisher as Leia. So
Yeah, and Rogue One. Yeah, I remember that
just
now.
like in Rogue One, also like yeah, most prominently the use of Peter Cushing's face, is for Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, for Tarkin, that was cool. Yeah, that
Oh
was.
yeah. But yeah, so like just obviously by that point, Carrie Fisher she completed all that she filmed for Last Jedi. Then after Last Jedi came out, well, when it came to Rise of Skywalker, I mean, just like two things very quickly, and we'll get back to where we were at Force Awakens. Like one is that I think it's obvious that after what Ryan Johnson brought to Last Jedi, I'm guessing like probably Abrams and the others, they didn't quite really expect on what Ryan was going to do, and obviously on maybe on account that what they had in consideration what could happen for Rise of Skywalker, but after that, and then after Carrie Fisher's passing, yeah, especially when Carrie died, it totally affected Rise of Skywalker, and the fact that Leia would have had a huge prominent part in Rise of Skywalker. So
Yeah, I think that the considering how dark it was, and I agree with Scott, definitely it was very dark of what happened to Han. But I think it was done. I think it was done appropriately. I think if there was a when we talked about it earlier, where we said that Harrison Ford was willing to to opt out of this, but he thought there should be a better way to do it, and why not at the hands of his son, which was totally unexpected, right? You didn't expect obviously Kylo to go right through him with the lightsaber and have him fall out the bridge, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that alone in itself was a really dark surprise, right? Nobody anticipated that.
No.
But then again, like I said, until we find out later the schematic or the relationship between uh you know Adam Driver's Ren and Daisy Ridley's Ray later on, in the next two films, until we find that dynamic out, we're really still kind of confused because we're like, okay, so Kylo has embraced the dark side, and in some way, Rey needs to find Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Master, and she's sort of on the light side, right? She's sort of a Jedi, in
Yeah.
her own right. So, with her instincts and everything. So yeah, it's
Oh
weird.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Scott, after Chewbacca went ape crap and screamed at the top of his lungs
shot,
after,
shot, shot, and wounded Kylo by the hip and such.
yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Scott.
We get Kylo decides to follow Rey and Finn, who
Yeah.
are now escaping to the Falcon. But of course, Kylo shows up ready for a lightsaber duel. This is where we get the lightsaber duel, the movie, where we see Finn pull out the lightsaber after Rey gets thrown on a tree, and then Finn basically fights Kylo.
Yeah,
And
but
he
I
loses, unfortunately, and gets
right.
injured.
Well, obviously Finn is no Jedi.
No,
He
I
will.
mean he did his damnest with like wielding the lightsaber, but it just didn't last long.
It's
Yeah.
reckless, right? I mean, when the Jedi, well, it goes both ways, right? When the Jedi and the Sith have their fights and their training like that, it is more controlled. It's not as reckless. It's not as like haphazard, which is the way that. Well, I gotta give up. Honestly, in the fight, I liked it because I got to give it up to Finn, who really didn't know much about it, but he knew what it could do, and I thought he fought. I thought he fought with Kylo Ren pretty effectively. I mean, for what it was worth, until Daisy came around and But yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And interesting, it was really cool because, like, also, like, when Kylo's trying to reach for the lightsaber out of the snow, well, because, it doesn't go to him, it goes to Rey, and then, like,
Right.
that music that plays, which is the same, like, music that it's,
Yeah, that thing.
it's the same music, that plays when Luke, sees the burned homestead and all that, but actually, I actually, like, that wasn't in the, like, that's not what was originally that because like the original music to that part, like it's in the soundtrack, but I'm guessing it was just one of those things where they just like I'm guessing like they just wanted to have like an original piece of Star Wars music be incorporated into that part, but just one of those things. So I mean,
Well,
not that I'm complaining. It's really cool, but yeah, good.
yeah.
I didn't know at that time until like I was listening to a bit of the score of Force Awakens, and when it's unveiled that Rey has the Force, and when the lightsaber came to her out of the snow, yeah, because the original music that Williams wrote for that, like, yeah, it was something new and such. But anyways,
Right. Well, you did say they did bring back John Williams, right, for the music.
yeah, of course they did. Yeah, I mean, I even acknowledged that earlier because I mentioned that earlier because with John Williams, rightfully so, coming back to do the music and score for the sequel trilogy, and the new pieces of music that he brings to the sequel trilogy. Just I mean, John Williams. I mean, he never disappoints at the music that he writes on paper and when it comes to life. So
Yeah. You guys forgot to mention, but or maybe you already did, but Warwick Davis came back as Wollivan in this movie.
I think I might have known he was. Yeah, he appeared as a character in this, but I couldn't remember as of now.
Yeah, he was. His name was Wollivan, Wollivan, Wollivan.
Right.
So he came back, and then Ken Leung, who did that TV series, was Admiral Statura. Was
Yeah.
Ken Leung? Yeah.
Yeah, Anchorman. I mean, do you know and remember like Warwick Davis appearing in Force Awakens?
Yeah.
If you're still
Warwick
there.
Davis in the movie.
Yeah, he played a character named Wollivan.
Oh, cool! I did not know that.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah.
Which one's that? Which character is that again?
He may have been one of the background characters.
Probably. Yeah.
He was a he was a background character. Yeah. I guess in the bar, Katana's bar. He was in there in a scene, I guess. Yeah, because you just mentioned Tim Rose as Admiral Akbar, right? So, but the voice of Akbar was voiced by Eric Bauersfeld.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, unfortunately, after Force Awakens, he would sadly pass away, and then when it came to Last Jedi, yeah, that's when Akbar would be killed off. So
yeah, and do you guys recognize his name, Iko Uwais? I know I've seen him in like a few science fiction films, but in this he plays Razu Quinn Fee, I guess another bar regular or something that was in there. But yeah, interesting.
I do know that what's in face who was Naninum in Return of the Jedi, Lando's co-pilot or something like that in the cockpit of the Falcon. Like, yeah, obviously, yeah, because the character himself came back and same body performance, and I think voice as well for Naninum came back too, of course.
Right. Yeah, that was cool. Let's see. Was there anybody else I recognized? Yeah, I think that was it. Other than Warwick Davis and so on. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, there was it was a pretty good cast. Yeah, I mean we had a lot of great we did. We had a lot of great actors and actresses take over the legacy and take over the franchise. They took it. It's like I said, when you had the 4, 5, and 6, and then you have the next 3 that are mentioned that took it over, and yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So go ahead, Scott. What else did you want to talk about?
Rey basically fights Kylo for a while, and then they almost fall off the Starkiller base platform when Poe and the team's already destroying the thing as they shut down the thing that was starting the Starkiller base, and basically Rey's able to tap into the Force and beat Kylo.
Yeah.
And he gets his face slashed, of course. But basically General Hux is told to escape the base with Kylo. And that's the last we see of Kylo until Rey basically picks up Finn, who's injured still, and they get rescued by Chewie. And Poe and BB-8 and the rest of the squadron's able to take out the Starkiller base, and it gets destroyed. And that's the last we see of Starkiller base. Our characters return, and Leia basically hugs Rey, and she doesn't hug Chewie. They even acknowledge that in the Skywalker Saga Lego game.
Right.
But we also get the awakening of R2-D2. I don't know if we talked about R2, but it was nice to see R2 back.
Yeah, we didn't bring up R2 because R2 would be discovered by BB-8 because
I love that scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious that BB-8 he has such an admiration for R2, and unfortunately R2 for a while had been shut off and such, but finally and thankfully he woke up himself, and well, turns out that R2 has further information and all that on account of where Luke can be located and such, and when the map is
Right.
completed, BB-8 and R2 put the map together and such. Well, that's when now they know where to locate Luke, and thus Rey, R2, and Chewie would ride in the Millennium Falcon to go and search for Luke, and Leia delivering the last line of the movie, which she says directly to Rey, "May the Force be with you." And yep, that's the last line spoken.
Yeah, and then Ray goes to Adel. Oh man, I'm for having a moment. What's the planet called? Adeloth or
I
something.
think so.
But Ray goes to that planet, and they actually filmed that at Ireland for that when they did the Last Jedi.
Yeah, it was off the coast of Ireland. It was they have a certain name for those those islands which are right off there, and where she meets up with Luke at the very end, right? So
Yep.
yeah, which is kind of cool. Did they ever say when they brought back? I'm looking it up here. But did they ever say when they brought back R2D2? Did they say who was inside the suit, or was it just
Well,
It goes just the droid.
it wasn't Kenny Baker anymore, but
right? Right.
it was a dwarf actor that still was inside of R2.
Yeah. Well, I think he was uncredited because I don't see his name in here under
I
it.
think you might have to look further down on that non-time to be page.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm looking through the actual cast list. I'm just trying to see if they noted him or like put it.
Well, I mean, he would be noted eventually, so I think at a certain
Yeah,
point when the next two films came out.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Hold on, just a sec. I got one quick question I'll ask. Oops. Hello. Yeah. Let's see here.
All right. Well, if I may, because I'll take it from here, because
Yeah, go for it.
we're literally towards the end of the film, because yeah, they would make their way to the planet, and Rey would like take this long walk, so many steps, until finally, yeah, Rey would then for the first time cross paths with Luke, and we finally see Luke on screen, Mark Hamill, and getting no dialogue in this movie, but at the same time, his appearance in Force Awakens was worth it.
Yeah, it
And
was.
yeah, he puts his hood down, it was cloak, and Rey handing out the lightsaber, and well, what's gonna happen when that's for us to find out by the next movie.
Okay, guys. I did find not to I didn't mean to interrupt, but I did want to let you know that Kenny Baker initially plays like the first like maybe a few seconds or a few minutes of it. He is credited as the actor who played it in Force Awakens, but Jimmy V also performed the role in some scenes without a credit. So basically, it was Jimmy V, the guy named Jimmy V, that portrayed it.
Right.
Because Kenny passed away, it says, in August of 2016.
Yep.
And V, it says VEE, that's basically his last name, Jimmy V, officially succeeded Baker and was credited for the role in subsequent films, including The Last Jedi and Rogue One. So,
Yeah.
Jimmy V. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, he was uncredited. So yeah, he's not in the credits. He's
Okay.
well, that's the name of the actor that played him. I just thought I'd let you guys know that so it wouldn't drive you crazy. So,
Well, no, it doesn't. No, it never drove me crazy because.
yeah, well, I know what kind of drove me crazy because I knew that Kenny was gone, that played it originally, but I didn't know who replaced him. Yeah, I didn't know who replaced him, but now I know. So I was like, oh, Jimmy V, okay.
Okay. All right, but we've now come to the end of the movies, so that's our film. But so I guess now we round off with our final thoughts.
Yeah, and our final grade. Yeah. So, Scott, you go first.
I enjoyed The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It's easily my most memorable experience when seeing a Star Wars movie. I do like the newer characters in it, and I love seeing Han, Leia, and Luke return in this movie.
Mhm.
And it was definitely a worthwhile movie for sure. I give it like an 8 out of 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Eli?
Okay. For me, because, well, I mean, yeah, despite that, like what was said earlier when we were talking about our first thoughts, because, it's a shame that Force Awakens, it just gets crapped on and on account of the next two films. But again, there was a time where the film was praised and loved. And, I'm sure as though nowadays it still is by those that don't, you know, act the way like any of those other Star Wars fans do. But yeah,
Mhm.
and just everything that The Force Awakens left off, the triumphant return of Star Wars on the big screen, the first Star Wars movie in a long time, the start of a new trilogy, and so many amazing things that came from that film with J.J. Abrams' direction, some familiar faces coming back, new faces,
Yeah.
and it was a great start for them. All the intensity and with what happens in this timeline, years after Return of the Jedi and new Empire arises and such. Yeah, and yeah, just everything that what the Force Awakens had to offer was amazing, and yeah, because to any of those like and how they feel about Force Awakens, well, I'm sure to those like the positive ones, like yeah, they would, viewing Force Awakens as a really good another Star Wars film and so on. Yep.
Right.
And the Force Awakens because I had reviewed it. I mean, I had reviewed Force Awakens before, and and I gave it well. And you know what? Because yeah, I think I still feel the same way. Because yeah, when I reviewed Force Awakens on Blue Channel, because yeah, like before, I still give it a 10 out of 10. So
Wow. Okay. That's
yeah.
also yeah. As for
But yeah,
me,
but now and it's your turn, Mikey. But just try to keep it. Try to don't keep it not that long, please. Okay, just
oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm sorry. That's why I'm a chatty blogger. I talk a
yeah.
lot. Yeah. No, I won't keep it too long. I agree with Scott. Scott and I both came up with the same grade. However, when I first saw it in theater, like I said, I thought it was just like a mirror image of like Star Wars, and I was like, okay, kind of disappointed. Yeah, there were a few moments, but So initially, to be honest, I did give it a C grade when I first saw it in theater, that first time. But then afterwards, like after watching it, uh, you know, late night, cable shows, things like that, uh, and I want to buy it. I still want to get it. Um, yeah, I raised my grade a whole grade, so I raised it to a B. Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. And basically the reasons that Scott gave, but also most of the reasons that you gave. I never understood why people hated on it, but then again, I thought about it, said, well, most of them are Star Wars purists, like myself.
Yeah.
Like when I grew up, I mean, come on, I waited, 3.5 hours outside in hot 100 plus degree temperatures to go see it, the original Star Wars. And I did the same thing for the next two. And then, when, of course, when the prequels came out, I went by myself and watched all the prequels. And I was pleasantly surprised. So when I saw Force Awakens for the first time, uh, I kind of went in with it like, hoping it would have some of that magic and whatever. But then again, I was a little disappointed. So I
Well,
had
that's
to rewatch it a few times to get to that B grade. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I was at.
yeah, and that's another thing because those that grew up with the original trilogy, they were kids, and when they
Yeah.
grew up, they had a different attitude when it came to the. Most of them had a different attitude when it came to the prequels. So
Yes. Yes. So
right.
again, like I said, I can understand some of their hatred. I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but are we all done now?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
done. We're done. Yeah.
We've said our parts. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the 10-year anniversary of Force Awakens. I hope you all enjoyed this review, and Merry Christmas to all.
Yep. Merry
Yeah. Merry
Christmas and
Christmas to all. Yeah.
yeah. Hard to believe that this didn't even feel like this stream was 2 hours long, but it turned out to be 2 hours long. So
Mhm.
Well, we did that for a few, so yeah, we're pretty good. And again, I want to thank both you gentlemen. You're not just friends to us, to me and Suzanne, but you're also brothers. And
Yep.
again, Scott, I'm honored and blessed that you allowed me to be a part of the panel. You too, Eli. So
Yeah, happy to. Anytime.
yeah, thanks, guys.
Yep.
You have a great one.
Yep. Once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you all, and may the Force be with you.
Always.
Indeed.